In this video, we're going to be going over the legacy and the history of the iPhone 2G. So this is the first episode of a new series that I'm going to be titling The Apple Time Capsule, where I will be reviewing every iPhone up to the iPhone 10, which is every currently unsupported device. So here is the overall appearance of the iPhone 2G. It's got a nice silver back here with a plastic antenna band on the bottom. I love the aluminum finish of this. It looks so good. Nothing really on the side here. SIM card is on the top, and you've got your volume buttons and your mute switch on the side, which was just recently removed the last couple years. For starters, this iPhone had a Samsung SoC, which was ARM-based, 128 megs of RAM, and your choice of 4, 8, or 16 gigabytes of storage. This was the only iPhone model with 4 gigabytes. And that model didn't last long either, making it incredibly rare if you do find one. This device can currently run up to iOS 3.1.3. I cannot imagine that this device will be receiving any more updates. Maybe the community will hack up iOS 4 or something like that on this device. You can see here if we go to About, that this is currently running iOS 3.1.3, which is the latest version for this device. Let's go over just how usable this iPhone is day to day, and the answer is not very. While T-Mobile still has their 2G network up and running, this device cannot function without a 2G network. This is the only iPhone that requires a 2G connection. So many functions of this phone are not usable, such as the phone function, messages, anything that has to do, I'm going to turn off that. This device does not support iMessage. That was added in iOS 5. So that just goes to show how old this thing is. And I can't even set a wallpaper on this phone. That's why the background is just black. But it has the same grid style that we have today, which I think is really flipping cool. So yeah, iOS hasn't really changed besides the style of the icons and stuff like that. So how functional is a device like this? So if you're using it for basic phone calls and stuff like that, and that's all you use a phone for, if you manage to find a 2G network for this device, a lot of stuff actually still works. For instance, if I open up the calendar application here, this is just a calendar, it doesn't require any internet connection, so this still works just fine. If I open up photos, for instance, it will display all of the photos that are on this device, which there are none. But that's what the camera's for. We can take some. And of course, there's no front camera because that didn't exist yet with this phone. And the camera that this device has is of very, very poor quality. You can see that kinda here. Let me turn the phone this way. If you can't really see it, I'm gonna take some pictures and display them up on screen. But this phone has a 2 megapixel camera. That's right, 2. Concerning the fact that our modern iPhones have 48 megapixels, that just goes to show how much cameras have improved. But people were just happy that the iPhone had a camera at all, which the iPod Touch of the time didn't have, and even the iPad when it came out didn't have. The iPhone has had it since day one. So what other functions of this device are still usable? Well, the YouTube app does not work without a jailbreak, unfortunately. If you just open it, it will just display this. And that is the end of that. So that client was discontinued a very long time ago. The Stocks app does not work anymore because the Yahoo service that connected to it doesn't connect anymore. So this app is not very useful without a jailbreak. The Maps app technically should still work because it's Google Maps, but I think that this has stopped working for a while. Actually, it does seem to be working. I don't know if location works, and I'm not about to test it, but it actually does seem like this works. Yeah, actually, that's actually really good to see because the Apple Maps that are on iOS 6 no longer work, so the fact that this works on an even older device says a lot. That just goes to show how Google still supports some of their old stuff. The Weather app no longer works because the device needs to connect to the Yahoo servers, which are dead. Voice memos. Voice memos just uses the internal microphone.
And this is what it would sound like if I was recording with this microphone instead of the one built into this iPhone. Yeah, we've come a long way since this microphone came out.
Notes app is just Notes, that's gonna work. Clock still works, calculator still works. Now the things that people actually care about is installing applications and doing all that stuff. Well, unfortunately, the App Store does not function anymore. So if you try to connect to it, it simply won't. This happens with the iTunes Store as well. Both of the stores are dead on this iPhone. Once you tap OK, it just closes. So you need a device running iOS 7 or later for those to keep functioning. So unfortunately, this device hasn't aged very well, but it was the first iPhone that released that actually was an iPhone. It was the first stepping stone for later iPhones and other devices that we have today. Since app support is not very there, and any app that you'd be able to install using a jailbreak or something similar would not function, most likely, without another tweak to repair it, I would say that for most people, this device is completely unusable. Now, you can use some aspects of it, like the web browser, for instance, still work. I'm surprised that it cached that. So you can see here, it actually still works. Google does, but I don't think most websites do. Yeah, there we go. So you can still use the web browser, but I don't imagine that you're gonna be getting a whole lot of work done. Yeah, I don't imagine that you're gonna be getting a whole lot of work done with an iPhone 2G, even though the Mail app still works, which I'm not opening because it is signed into my Mail account. Safari still works, stuff like that, basic things like that still work. Now here's the part of the video where I show off some things that this iPhone has that modern devices don't anymore. So first of all, you have the general iOS skeuomorphic style, where iOS just looked older. It looks dated, but it looked realistic. You can see the notepad here actually looks like a notepad, and the keyboard actually sounds like you're typing or tapping glass. At least it's supposed to sound kind of like that. A lot of older stuff like that is still on this device, and forever will be, because it lost support way into the skeuomorphic design era of iOS, which is iOS 1 through 6. This device had Spotlight Search, and it was actually pretty powerful at the time. It was not perfect, it wasn't great, especially in iPhone OS 3. It just mainly was to search for apps, but it still worked and it still did a really good job. It was a really nice feature to have. But yeah, the whole skeuomorphic style, as you can see here, the search bar kind of bevels in like that to kind of be more, I guess, realistic to real life is there. Just the whole stylistic design of that, where you can swipe this way. But yeah, many features that we have from this phone. There aren't really many features that were taken out of later iOS versions besides just the stylistic choice of iOS 3, which was called iPhone OS at the time. Well, yeah, that's about it for this video. If you liked it, hit the like button and get subscribed if you like the content that you see on this channel. It's been a very long time since I posted a video, so thank you guys so much for sticking around, and I hope to have more content in the future. Hopefully, it won't be as long as a break of that. Hopefully it won't be as long of a break as I took. That was a very long time, and I miss posting videos, so it's good to be back.